using AI as a teacher assistant. This presentation was mainly using the AI from Canva, but we'll discuss some other AIs later in the presentation. Some of the information. This is just like overall for everybody, just to make sure that you've gone into the professional development and gone ahead and checked in. And the remote check-in would be Tech 23. So you'd go here to the system and then just go to there, Tech 23. I'll give everybody like a minute to go ahead and log in or sign in. So the objective for today is just for you all to become familiar with the AI and generate lesson plans, assignments, and assessments. There are a lot of other things that as I've been messing around with the AI, not only through Canva, but through Chat PDF and Chat GPT, that have really great tools that we can use in the classroom. But that's going to be the objective for today. And we can even analyze student work, which we'll get to later, which can save some time as well. AI and lesson planning. So one of the things that we may struggle with, even though we get the lessons from the district, right? So we want to maybe generate some reteach moments and things like that. Oftentimes we have to think through, like, how is our TEAC really matching the lesson that I'm doing and things like that. And I'll show you how we can streamline the process, saving more time so we can spend time doing things in the classroom, right? Focusing on the delivery. Now, as I was doing this too, like some people may be concerned, well, all this focus on AI, like what's going to be our role? And one of the things is that nobody's ever going to be able to replace a good teacher because you have that human element, right? So all of these things that we're using are tools that we can use to streamline some of the mundane things, give us inspiration to create some different lessons, to look at things in a different way, just save ourselves some time or create different assessments and things like that. But that interaction that we have with our kids is more important than anything, right? So that relationship that we build, and nobody's going to be able to replace that. Now, I do have a question, because we can do this one of two ways. I can go through my whole spiel and talk to you about how I've used it and things like that, or we can actually go step by step and use it right now. So in the chat, I would really like for you guys to respond how you all want to continue with this. Do you guys want to do a step by step and then we'll discuss? Or do you want me to run through the whole spiel? And I want you to place your comments on the chat and we'll go from there. Okay, so for the most part, people have said that they want to go step by step. That's awesome. So what I'd want you to do, step by step. Okay, so what I want you to do right now is go ahead and go to your Canva account. You would log in using your PSJA credentials, and you go here, you get this. The next step that I would want you to do is click on Start Writing right here on Docs. So once you're there, go ahead and click on the plus. And then you're going to hit Magic Write. Now from there, that's where this whole thing opens up to us, right? Because what we can do, we can ask it a question, make sure that you are specific in what you're asking it to do, right? The more specific, the better. Also, sometimes the way that you word some of your requests is going to affect how it gets generated. All right, so let's try this. So I went to the TEACs and I'll give you guys an opportunity to go ahead and open that. So I went to, of course, just looked up the TEKS from TEA. I clicked on the ones that I wanted, and you guys can click on the ones that you want. So whatever content that you're teaching, and you can go ahead and click that. Right now, I'm at the middle school. By the way, I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Gabriel Cerda. I'm an instructional coach at RYMS. I've been in education for 16 years. I'm working on my 17th. I apologize for that. Okay, so then I hit on middle school because that's where I'm at. I'm looking at 8th grade. And then I am moving to a TEK. So let me look at something. All right, so let's just go. I'm going to go with this 6 right here and 6A. So whatever 6A is. So I just simply wrote, can you write a lesson plan for the following TEKs? And I copy and pasted the TEK that was there. So I'm going to go to generate. And there you go. So as you can see, it has the objective. The objective is tied to the TEK. So the TEK was about the students understand westward expansion and its effects on the political, economic, and social development of the nation. A, explain how the Northwest Ordinance established principles of the procedures. And as you can see, students will be able to explain how the Northwest Ordinance established the principles of procedure. So it's tied to the TEKs. It gives you the materials list, how you're going to introduce it, and it even gives you like a time frame, right? So you can work on your pacing and stuff like that. And I have tried it so to give it like a 45-minute version, a 90-minute version, and things like that. So it can do that. It can distinguish that for you. Direct instruction, guided practice. So you're using that kind of gradual release, independent practice right there, and then you close. And so it gives you the whole lesson cycle right there, what materials you're going to be using, what you're going to be doing, what the kids are going to be doing. Sound pretty good?
Yes.
All right. So you guys can always ask questions. Don't hesitate in stopping me wherever we're at, because I want this to be more of a conversation more than anything else, right? Because this is, I think that using these AIs can be a real benefit for teachers. Now, I created a different lesson for this, right? But it's all the same thing as far as like the other one is concerned. One of the things that you'll note, it's very formulaic in the way that it does it, but the way that it's formatted is the gradual release model, right? Now, another thing that we may struggle with as teachers is differentiation, right? Even as a veteran teacher, how am I, just sometimes you have very varied students and abilities in the classroom, right? So how am I going to be able to differentiate for the emergent bilingual? How am I going to differentiate for student with special needs and things like that, right? This lesson does not necessarily give that to me, right? And what ideas can I use? Now, what I did is I did the exact same request, but I asked for, because this is coming from when I was experimenting with one of my inclusion teachers there at my school. Was like, hey, we'll try it like this, right? So she asked me to write it for a lesson plan for an intellectually disabled student. Same TEK, right? I just framed the lesson a little bit different, the phrasing of it. And some of the major differences is what you're going to do is you're going to read aloud the information, the informational text about each significant individual, asking students to follow along and highlight and underline important information. Another difference, once all students have been, individuals have been covered, once all of you review the worksheets as a class to check for accuracy. So that's how you're going to differentiate, and that's how the AI creates that differentiation. Can you use that in your regular practice as far as the whole group? Of course. But that's how you're going to add that differentiated piece. Now, I would like you guys to try the same thing as well. Right, so go ahead and add that different phrase for creating it. For example, I'm going to go here.
Wow.
And there you go. So it does differentiate for you right there. Now, go here. The same thing with emergent bilinguals, right? Because we, in our district, we do have a large population of emergent bilinguals. So I asked the AI to do the exact same thing, right? Give me a lesson, and this is how it's going to differentiate for me. And so this is how it's going to look in the classroom, right? It also depends on the level of emergent bilingual. Like if you have a advanced high, that might be a little bit different, right? But this is maybe we're looking at intermediate right here. And I haven't tried asking the AI for differentiated, you know, like as far as intermediate or advanced high, but this is what it gave me. Vocabulary. Review relevant vocabulary words related to the lessons such as settlement, contribution, pioneer, and colonization. So right there, it's already differentiating the lesson. Could you do this in whole group, right? Just a quick review before you start getting into lesson, obviously, right? And it's also going to help your emergent bilinguals. Another thing, another way that it differentiated this lesson with a group discussion. Divide the class into small groups and have them discuss their readings. Of course, you want them to practice their speaking. You want them to practice their listening skills, right? So encourage them to share their thoughts through tasks. So that's how it differentiated. Of course, you can always use those things and just plug it into the main lesson that you have for that day. Now moving on. So right here, sometimes we want to create these worksheets, and I know that I've worked with a lot of teachers and they're just like, oh, I want to like, I'm scouring through my list of like my folders of what I've done in the past, trying to create. Oh, I remember I had a worksheet, blah 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 for this, right? Or you pull off something off the internet. The only trouble is that sometimes those things aren't exactly 100% tied to the text that you're trying to teach, right? But if you go in there and just create a fill in the blank worksheet, I just asked it exactly like the way that you see it right there, create a fill in the blank worksheet based on that teak that I was using, and it did it, right? So the only thing that you would do, you copy and paste, you put in the answers, the answers, right, like a bank if you want to, depending, and then you have your worksheet right there. So as the kids are reading through the assignment, you can have them do that. Questions? And we can try it right here.
Mr. Cerda.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, sir. This is Mrs. Alegria. I just wanted to ask you, what is the code tech to check in? I'm sorry.
It's Tech 23.
Okay, thank you.
To log in Canvas, our credential is going to be the same as PSJA as like.
Yes, you're using your district credentials.
Go in Canvas and then go in, right? Login.
In Canva, correct.
Do you find that these are accurate, or you got to check for mistakes before you continue?
For the most part, they are accurate. I mean, you always want to double check, obviously, right? I have found some limitations, and yesterday when I was working with my son to help him through his physics homework, right? I'm not a math person, and haven't like used a lot of the formulas in a long time. I did catch a mistake in the way that in how it was computed at the end, but we were able to just double check that stuff and correct it, and it was fine. The steps were the most important things. Okay, so this one, it didn't give it to me.
Sorry, real quick. So just to, because I was logging in when you started the initial teaching us, the create the design, you go under docs?
Yes, correct. So you'd go in here, you go hit docs, and with docs, then you go to the little plus sign.
Okay, okay, thank you.
And then you go to Magic Write.
Magic Write, okay, thank you.
So that's what I said, like one of the things that might be an issue is sometimes you have to reword it. Sometimes maybe like right here, I'd have to actually type in the teak again. And that's what I had done for this one right here. I had typed in that teak, so it was able to give that to me.
Yes, but you go under docs, right?
Correct.
It's because I am trying to do that. You are doing that.
Now, one of the other things that I did, and I was using the same teak from this one. What I did was I asked it to create a multiple choice exam based on this teak. So again, sometimes we create exams. I know I've done it, especially when I was first teaching. You're trying to create a test, especially for English language arts teachers. It's a little bit more difficult, right? We think that we're testing that teak, and we're actually not. But this kind of like helps us stay true to that, right? Now this is a little bit more simple. It's asking about significant individuals. That's a little bit easier. But it will create that multiple choice. Now, then you can transfer that into Google Forms or any other platform that you want to use, so that way you can get immediate feedback for the kids, right? One of the things, though, is that we cut our time greatly because we don't have to do a lot of this, a lot of the answer choices, the questions, and things like that. So it saves, and this is done like in minutes, right? Now, another thing that we may struggle with as teachers is creating those different levels of questioning, right? So we all always go back to Bloom's, right? The different levels of questioning. When we have those, we talk about rigor in the classroom as well, but creating some of those questions might be a little bit difficult in some of our classrooms, right? Especially like we're doing the lesson, we're trying to create the assessments. We have so much on our plate, and when we're planning, it's like maybe we have so much on our mind. It's difficult to create like okay, this is a level 2 question. I'm trying to create a inferencing question for this teak, but nothing's really like popping up into my head right now, right? So right here, let me go back. Create different levels of questions for this teak. And again, sometimes you may have to reword it because this is too generic, right? So who were some of the significant individuals? What was a role? These are mostly just those level 1 type of questions, right? So then I switched it up, create different levels of questions which include inferencing questions, right? So then it gave me questions like, how did Moses Austin contribute to the Mexican settlement of Texas? And that is a level 2 question, and that's building up the rigor in a classroom. And we can use those as guiding questions in collaborative groups, right? So now we're putting a little bit more onus on the students themselves, right? So you give them the text, you give them some of the questions, and they discuss in their groups, and then you can discuss whole group. And again, that's driving the rigor in the classroom, and it's more student-centered. Also, what I would suggest is that when you're creating your, especially for teachers, right? When you're creating your SGMs, this could be a good resource as well, right? As to help create that exam for you. And you know that it's tied to your TEKS, and you know that those are different levels of questions, right? So right here, that's a lot of what I had was just going through this, because it is really about trial and error, right? It's just about getting in there, getting what you want, asking it, finding those keywords, and just generating and generating and generating, right? So do you all have questions so far? I don't know. Okay.
Gabriel, sorry. So this could work for like anything besides TEKS, like the ASL standards for librarians and things like that.
Correct, because you can just plug it in and ask it, can you do it based on this?
Okay, thank you.
Now, Ms. Rodriguez has a question. Can the exam be adjusted for differentiated learners? More than likely. I haven't tried it, but I'm sure it could be, right? So one of the things that I wanted to share with you too is that there are other AIs, right? So I mistyped right there, ChatGPT. So I'm going to give you some examples of ChatGPT, because when I was writing curriculum in the summer, or helping to write curriculum, you know, I wanted it to help me with some lessons, right? So give me some different ideas. Again, this is just a tool. So I'm coming from one perspective. I wanted to have a different perspective on stuff, right? Also creating short little grammar quizzes as well. Like you can see all the work that I was doing right there. Based on certain TEKS, right? The question was, can you create a short formatted quiz on English language arts TEKS, a star formatted quiz, right? And what I found is that ChatGPT is a little bit better for generating those star, if your focus is star, doing that star formatted questions. Canva, not so much. Now, another one that I've been using as well is Chat PDF. So this one's restricted right here. I've used it in my personal account. The way that you get to ChatGPT, if you're having difficulty on your school device, go through incognito mode, and then it'll let you log in through your Microsoft credentials. Another thing that I was just messing around with this morning before anything started was I was curious, especially for those ELA teachers, right? Could it give me feedback? So right here, I gave the prompt, I gave the requirements, and then I gave the essay, right? This was a student-generated essay, and then it gave feedback as to those specific points that I wanted to. Right, so the introduction effectively sets the stage by introducing the concepts of keeping a secret and briefly explaining Elena's situation. However, you can enhance it by providing a bit more context about Elena and her relationship with her brother to create stronger connections with readers. Now, again, we can use this to help maybe generate those exemplar essays, right? and kind of help with the feedback process as well. You know, you can show this to the kids too, so they can be able to help themselves as well. Now, Chat PDF, that one you would upload a PDF and you can ask it questions. You can create star formatted questions. So if you have that text, it's already there and tied to the TEKS. And then Edu AI, that one is more like there's a broad set of things that you can do, including behavioral management plans and things like that. That I am least familiar with, but I thought I'd share that with you in case that you guys want to go and explore yourselves. Now, there are some different session surveys. This, I know it's a very, very short session, so if you guys want to continue messing around with it, I'll be here. And if you want to have, if you have questions, and we can go through some of those. If not, I am going to place the survey on the chat, so that way you can take the survey for this session that we had right here. Yes. Yeah. So I've even used it to get feedback for my short stories that I created too, from using ChatGPT. So it gave me feedback as far as like character development and things like that. So that was pretty insightful. So what do you all think? Correct. You only chicken once. Definitely. Not only can you create the rubric, you can give exemplars for that. True. It's just sometimes we get stuck, or sometimes we need something to like somebody to kind of like point us in the right direction. I forgot to mention this, the presentation that I had, this itself was generated by AI. So part of it, right? Because I just wanted to mess with it, continue messing with it. So right here, presentation. The magic design can help you create those type of presentations as well. But on top of that, Canva already has a slew of great resources already, lessons, mini lessons, and things like that. So it's worth going in there and just exploring even more. All right, y'all, that's all I have for you all. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, I'm going to still be here for a little while because the session doesn't technically end until 10:30. But I mean, that's all I have for you guys. Have a great rest of your day. I hope your sessions are going to be awesome. I hope you can take back a lot to your campuses and enjoy the rest of your summer. And like what, like your next week?